So then to change then, it would make sense then that you'd have to be greater than your environment, yes or no? Because you can't respond in the same way, because if you do, you default back to the old person, yes or no? So to change is to hold a vision in spite of environmental conditions, in spite of that state, and not fall from grace. And if the body's been conditioned to be the mind emotionally, and it's been habituated into a future, then it means to change is you have to overcome your body. And when the body gets aroused, when it wants to get up and do something and you settle it down, that's the process of change right there. That's the overcoming process. That's what it takes to arrive at your future. So if the body has drives and it's emotional and it's habituated and you keep settling it down, I promise you, you're taming your pet. You stay right there. I'm gonna feed you. I know you think you're gonna die. I know you're super busy. I know you get migraines. I know you have food allergies. I know it's better for you to lay down. I know it's your mother's fault. Oh, no, it's your ex's fault. I know all that. You hang in there. Past all of those points, the body is trying to unseat you. It's doing what it can, and by causing it to fall back into the present moment, into the unknown, is how we overcome time. Because if you're not in the predictable future and you're not in the familiar past, those are the knowns. The present moment is the unknown, and that's where possibility exists. Teaching people how to get there and stay there is a habit. You can get better at it the more you do it. If you are truly going to really put all of your attention on you, to be aware of nothing but you would have to control all those thoughts that are connected to your body, to the people in your life, to the things you own, to the places you need to be, the place you live, the place you sleep, your schedule, the past. But we discovered that if we ask people to close their eyes, and now they're getting less sensory information to their brain, and we ask them to begin to take all of their attention off their body and go from a somebody to a nobody, to take all of their attention off all the people in their life and to go from a someone to a no one. That means you lay down the character. No attention on the objects and things in your life. You go from something to nothing. To take all of your attention off all the places you have to go and go from somewhere to nowhere and from some time to no time. You no longer are the character that you think you are in this three-dimensional reality. Your consciousness. Now imagine this. So let's make it really simple. Your senses plug you into reality, yes or no? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. If I took away your sight, your hearing, your smell, your taste, feeling with your body, would you agree with me that you would have no experience of three-dimensional reality? Yes or no? But what would you be if you were still you? You would be aware, yes or no? Aware of what? Nothing but you. And that is the perfect place where people begin to make really powerful changes. And we call that overcoming the self. Throw in the hormones of stress. And the stress hormones heighten our senses now and cause us to narrow our focus on the cause of the problem. And as the arousal of those chemicals cause the body and the brain to become alert, we focus primarily on the material world. And if where you place your attention is where you place your energy and you're living in this state of survival and state of stress, if T-Rex is chasing you, it would make sense you would be looking in your environment where to go. Yes or no? If you felt him breathing down the back of your neck, you would be thinking about your body, would you not? And if you were thinking about getting from here to the cave, you'd be thinking about how much time it's going to take you to get there. So the stress hormones cause us to put all of our attention on our bodies, all of our attention on our environment, all of our attention on time. It's kind of funny because if to change means to be greater than your body, to be greater than your environment, and to be greater than time, when we're under stress and we're in survival, it's really hard to change. In fact, it's not a time to change. It's a time to run, fight, and hide, and people spend up to 70% of their waking day living aroused by those stress hormones. So aroused that they become addicted to the rush of those chemicals, and they use the problems and the people in their life to reaffirm their addiction to that emotion. And they're becoming addicted to the life they don't even like. And those chemicals are powerful chemicals that change the brain and body dramatically. We move out of homeostasis, we move out of balance. The body's mobilizing all of its resources for whatever danger it's perceiving in the outer world. The problem is that you have one or two of those experiences and then you start expecting them to happen. When you're under stress, you're always preparing yourself for the worst case scenario in your mind. Prepare yourself for the worst. Anything less happens, you have a better chance of surviving. So people that all of a sudden start imagining the worst things that could happen to them in their life, and they embrace the emotion that's associated with it. And it's the thought and the feeling, it's the image, the emotion, it's the stimulus and response, and they're conditioning their body to become the mind of anxiety. And you keep doing it over and over again, the body will have a panic attack without you. Try as you may to control it with your conscious mind, you program it subconsciously. And no planet that's 92 million miles away from here is causing you to be that way. I can tell you that. It's not cucumbers and it's not gluten either that's doing that to you. You're doing that to you. And so, in living in stress and living in survival, the stress response is created when we can't control something, when we can't predict something, when we have the perception that something's going to get worse. And all of a sudden the arousal causes us to do what? Try to control, try to predict, try to make everything right. And so in the aroused state, the brain is in very, very high frequency. And it's shifting its attention from one person to another object, to another thing, to another place. And every one of those different elements has a neurological network in the brain, and like a lightning storm in the brain starts firing out of order. It starts firing really disintegrated. It's firing incoherently. And when waves are interfering incoherently, they lose energy. And we lose energy in the brain. And when we're under the gun of those chemicals, we narrow our focus, we over-focus, we obsess about something, and you have 10 really great things that happen in your life and one doesn't work, and you'll obsess about that one thing. In the state of readiness, in the state of survival, the brain is always trying to predict the next moment based on the past. There's no room for the unknown for a person in their life, and everything now, they have to see it, they have to smell it, they have to taste it, they have to feel it. Their senses are defining reality. And they're narrowing their focus. And we just discovered that if we taught people to take their attention off of everything that's material, everything that's known in their life, and go from this kind of what we call a convergent focus or a narrow focus, to broaden their focus and open their awareness to nothing. Now, I don't know how to explain nothing to materialists, but there's nothing there. And how big is emptiness or nothing? I don't know. But when people begin to broaden their focus and begin to sense space, the act of sensing, the act of feeling causes them to stop analyzing and thinking. And if they stop analyzing and stop thinking, they no longer activate those circuits in their brain that keep them in that state. And the brain starts to unify, it starts to synchronize. It starts to fire more coherently. It starts to organize in really healthy patterns, and what syncs in the brain actually links in the brain. And so when we have people open their awareness to space, and they pay more attention to it and less attention to them, they stay more aware of it and less aware of them, that they can lose their sense of identity, their sense of self to nothing. Their brain waves beautifully change in really, really wonderful ways, and the whole entire brain is now a symphony. And some people can get so good at this that they could actually let their body move into a light sleep. And it's resting in a light sleep while they're awake and conscious. And the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is wide open to information. But now they're sitting there with their eyes closed. They're not getting any information from the environment. They're in a meditation. There's only one other place information comes from, and that's frequency. And all frequency carries information. And when their nervous system is oscillating in order, it begins to become entrained to that unified field, that quantum field, that invisible field of unifying energy that exists beyond your senses. There's no people there, there's no objects, there's no bodies there, there's no things. I looked it up. What existed before the Big Bang? Nothing. And that place where that emptiness is, it's rich in frequency. And now something amazing happens. When a person's dialed down the neocortex, the memory bank of the known self, what plugs them into three-dimensional reality, and their brain waves are in the very resonant state of theta, and they're in a hypnotic state, and the information is not coming through their senses from their environment, and they start tuning in, there's a connection that takes place. And all of a sudden, the nervous system starts interacting with energy and frequency, and the brain goes into these heightened states of gamma brainwave patterns, and the brain is aroused. And the arousal is not pain, and the arousal is not fear, and the arousal is not anger or aggression. The arousal is ecstasy. The arousal is connection. It is the most familiar, unfamiliar feeling we'll ever have in our life. And that moment when that occurs and that autonomic nervous system is in high gamma, hundreds of standard deviations outside of normal, 3 standard deviations outside of normal is 2% of the population. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of standard deviations in gamma, coherent gamma, perfect coherent gamma. And those waves, as they interfere, start building bigger waves. And the brain starts moving into standing waves of energy. And that person now is getting a biological upgrade. And energy is informing matter. And there's the eczema, now it's gone. There's the blindness, now it's gone. There's the deafness, now it's gone. There's the stage 4 cancer metastasized to the bones, it's gone. There's the Parkinson's, now it's gone. Somehow there's a biological upgrade that takes place in the body. And literally they're interacting with that invisible field of energy. And we've just started to discover the different signposts, the different places, resting points that the heart and the brain have to go to reach that elegant moment where we have that experience. That's the quantum.